up, guys? Universal Mastery. So in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is a spirit that can make you invisible. So if you want to know what spirit I'm talking about, stay tuned. Alright, so the spirit that I'm talking about that can make you invisible is a very powerful spirit. He's a very powerful demonic king, and I don't hear too many people talking about him. But at the same time, I'm sure there are, a good handful of people that have worked with him before. But once again, as I said, I haven't heard too many people talk about him. So yeah, his name is Balaam, and he was actually, if you have seen my past videos about how I got into the occult and things of that nature, he was the first spirit that I actually made contact with. He was literally like one of the first spirits that got my attention, and it was very fascinating because before I had gotten into the occult, and let me give you a little bit of a context. Before I had gotten into the occult, I was at a place in my life where I wanted to be successful, and I was literally willing to do whatever the fuck it took for me to reach success. I was literally at a point where I'm like, okay, I need to find my purpose, and I have an idea of what that is. Now the next thing that I need is I need a vehicle to get my messages out there. So I realized that I'm a speaker. I realized I have a gift when it comes to sharing information and being able to relay the things that the things that are going through my mind and the experiences that I've been through. I have a gift to share that with people so that they can apply it in their life or apply it to their own understandings. But I just needed, you could say, like a way to get my name out there. I needed to figure out how to become successful enough where my messages can be heard from a wide variety of people. So that's where I was at that point in my life. And this is before I had even gotten into the occult. But once again, that doesn't necessarily mean that the occult wasn't influencing me the whole entire time. So the first, and I'm gonna be honest, it started off with me watching a video about a guy named E.A. Coetting, and there was a specific video that he had called the demonic. It was one of his seminar videos where he did a seminar. I think it was at like a college ground or something of that nature, and he was talking about like the demonic kings, and basically the context of it was, these are great spirits. If you're going to start to walk this path and you want to do your first invocations, these are great spirits to work with. So, excuse me, I was watching this video, and one of those spirits, like out of the 9 names that he listed, there was one that I intuitively knew that I should work with. Like I heard the descriptions, of what he was saying about each deity, and I was looking at the names and I'm like, let me make an intuitive based decision on this. So I realized, like, you know what, I'm gonna pretty much use divination. I'm gonna go with my intuition, with my gut, and I'm gonna work with this spirit. And it was Balaam. Like I could just sense, like, out of all the names, that's the one that I want to work with. And I really knew nothing about any of these spirits from personal experience. I didn't know anything about any of them. So I was like, I'm gonna work with that one. I didn't even know what his attributes were. I didn't really know too much about him because E.A. Coetting kind of just went over brief details on these spirits, because that wasn't the whole purpose of his seminar. So I was like, he was pretty much like, E.A. was pretty much giving a context of, these are some beings that you can work with, and figure out your own gnosis and knowledge and wisdom from working with them. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work with this spirit, and it happened to be Balaam. So I remember I first started to study Balaam. That was the first thing that I did. I studied what he looked like. So I went on Google Images, I searched for his picture, and I saw what he looked like, and then I started reading about him. Okay, this is one of the most important aspects of this occult science, of this practice. When you go to work with a deity, when you go to work with a spirit, you have got to do your research. I'm not saying that you have to do it before or you have to do it after. It doesn't matter. But when you're first starting off, you've got to do research at some point so that you can get an understanding of, okay, this is this being, and you can know how that being works in your life or how that being communicates with you. And then every time you become aware that that being is influencing you, you're strengthening that connection between you and that spirit. And then once you get adept at it and once you get good at it, you don't need to necessarily do your research like that. It's always a great thing and it's always fun to do research because you can see, you know, you can always learn something new. You can become more self-aware and more aware of the ways that it's influencing your day-to-day life. But, you know, there's some, you know, once again, there's some practitioners that don't like to do any research and they like to get like a straight up raw opinion. And that's great, but at some point you always want to like compare what your gnosis with other people so that you can see, like, are we on the same page here? Are we picking something up? Is there, and you'll always be able to add new pieces to the puzzle from what other people have picked up, their own knowledge, their own wisdom, their own gnosis. So it's always fun to compare notes in that sense. So you know, I started doing my research on Balaam, and he was one of those spirits that has, you could say, a lot of materializations, a lot of materialized attributes. So in the sense of riches, like that was one of the main things that Balaam was attributed to, is he's about his money. Like according to his lore, he loves gold, something in that nature, and it attributed to, he's a spirit of money. He's a spirit of abundance. Like if you work with Balaam, he's a spirit that wants money, and he will attract abundance because that's the nature of his energy. He wants to work towards being financially free or having finances to be able to do whatever it is, whatever you want. And you know, during the time where he was worshipped back in those ancient times, I'm sure a lot of the currency back then was things in the nature of gold. So that's why he's probably attributed to gold and treasures. So, you know, that right there drew me in because, you know, I was already attuned to that. I was at a point in my life, as I was saying, like where I wanted to make money. I wanted to have freedom. I wanted to be able to share my message to more people. I want to be able to impact more people. And to do that, you do have to get yourself in a certain place. You have to be at a certain level of survival to know what you're doing and have quality. And then, you know, I have a nice camera sitting in front of me right now. I have a nice microphone sitting in front of me. This costs money, okay? And I'm not saying that you need this, but this also helps me get my messages out there. It helps when I make thumbnails that have really powerful, bold statements and have, you know, the picture of me sitting there, and then I have a picture right next to me. It helps because it grabs your attention. This is part of psychology. This is part of how we work as beings and how we maneuver through life the way that we need to get our messages out there. So as I was saying, I was already attributed to him based off those attributes that were naturally a part of who he is. And then, you know, I realized like this is exactly the spirit that I need to be working with. So the first thing that I did is I drew the sigil, I set up some candles, I made my own little space. I channeled him for the first time. He was literally the first spirit that I channeled, like consciously. And I sat there for a while. And I'm talking like a while, like over an hour. And in my mind at the time, I wasn't necessarily sure what was going to happen. I wasn't 100% sure if this being is literally going to appear right in front of me. And I was actually kind of contemplating it. Like, am I ready for this? Like, is this spirit literally going to take full physical manifestation right in front of me? Those were my first thoughts because it was my first invocation or evocation. These are my first thoughts because I've never done it before. All I heard was stories about summoning demons and summoning spirits and like they're appearing and stuff. So I'm expecting that. And because I had such a belief and such of an expectancy, I got really, really potent results. Now, he did not appear in front of me full physical manifestation form and everything, because one, they're, you know, these beings are intelligent. They're not gonna straight up show themselves to you if you're not ready for it anyways. I wasn't ready for it. If he had fully appeared right in front of me, it would have scared the shit out of me, but I would have still stood through it. But it just, his intention isn't to scare the shit out of me. He wants to teach me things. He wants me to build a relationship with him. So, you know, after, I would say about like 45 minutes of sitting down, literally focusing on something out the window and just gazing at it, and then, you know, looking at a sigil and sitting there and repeating over the N with my candles around me, I was just in the mood. I was in that state of mind that I needed to be in. And eventually, I started to pick up on something in my peripherals. So I'm gazing straight, I pick up on something in the side of my peripherals, and it is a silhouette of an energy. It is like an actual, like if you can imagine me sitting here, but imagine me invisible. So I don't know, the best way that I can describe it, literally, the best way that I can describe it, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Predator, but if you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. Have you seen when Predator turns that thing on his suit and makes him go invisible, and you see that like invisible image, but you can't necessarily see him? It's like see-through, but he's still invisible, and you can kind of see that little silhouette around him. That, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then search it up, Predator Invisible. Just search that on Google Images and you'll see. That is exactly what it looks like. This is like what a lot of, this is like what a lot of energy looks like. When you see spirits in an energetic form, that is exactly what an energy body looks like, at least from the way that I'm seeing it. So I started to pick up on this silhouette of Balaam in my peripheral. And once again, I'm not looking right at him, because if I was to look right at him, it probably would have went somewhere else. So I'm gazing here, and I saw a clear silhouette right next to me, on my left side actually. And you know, I'm just sitting there, and I started to pick up on the fact that that is probably Balaam. That is probably the spirit that I'm trying to connect with. So then I was kind of questioning, because once again, this is my first invocation. This is my first time doing this. So, you know, I have questions, and I had wrote some questions down too. But I started to get so in the moment, because I was gazing here, I see the silhouette, that I started to realize, like, you know, I feel like I could communicate to him without saying words. So I kind of started to try and tune in to that psychic sense. And in my mind, I'm like asking, like, Balaam, is that you? Like, are you next to me? And I would pick up on an audible voice in my own mind's eye that sounded actually a lot like me, and it would say yes. And long story short, that's Balaam speaking through my consciousness. But it sounded like me. And this is where a lot of people get tricked in the occult, that, you know, first start to get into this, or feel like they've been trying to get into this and they're just not getting results, and they've been in this field for a while and they still feel like they're not getting results. These beings will speak through your consciousness a lot of the time. So that voice that you hear that sounds like your own voice, it's not necessarily you that is inspiring the words that it's getting, that are being relayed to you. Meaning that spirit is communicating through your own consciousness, through the own filters that are going on in your mind, and translating it in a way that you can understand. Okay? So just because you're not hearing a voice of like some being that's talking like this and sounds like a god, or like a demon, or like an angel, like you know what I mean? Like, just because you're not hearing these voices and they're not being portrayed that way, doesn't mean that it's not that being communicating with you. And I've had experiences with both. I have totally heard an audible voice speak to me, like in a very movie type of way, like a way that you would think, like, that's exactly what a god's supposed to sound like. And matter of fact, that was from Lucifer. Lucifer literally spoke to me, and I heard it audibly in my right ear, and it said, "Jeremiah, I love you and have big plans for you." And that changed my life. That's a whole nother story. But and I have shared a little bit of that in some other videos, but to stay on track with this one, I see Balaam. He starts communicating with me, and he starts telling me that he's there with me. So, you know, as I'm gazing out this window and I'm seeing his silhouette, I start asking him questions, like not just necessarily the ones that I wrote down, because now I feel like I've built a connection enough where I can actually freely speak. So it started with me writing down the questions and asking them, but now it's transitioned to the point where I'm sitting there and I'm asking questions that are just on my mind. And very basic questions. I said, Balam, can you teach me how to manifest? And I sat and I picked up on yes, but I didn't know what I'm about to share with you, what's about to take place in this story that I'm telling you that happened to me. I wasn't expecting that this was going to happen. So as I'm gazing out this window, I also have, once again, I have these candles around me. I have candles around me, and I have one candle in front of me. And I just got gnosis from Balam, to either from Balam or my higher self, probably a little bit of both, because your higher self will actually be the one that's translating these messages to relate to you. It's that higher level of your consciousness, which is connected to your higher self. So this is getting a little advanced there, but this is what happens. So I got gnosis to look down at the candle in front of me. So I look down at that candle, okay, and I'm gazing at it, and I'm just focusing in on that candle. And then I get gnosis to look back up at the window. So I go back to the window, and I'm looking, and then this orb starts to appear. So if you know that when you do candle meditations, that's something that's very common. Or if you look at any sort of light, for a long time, if you gaze at a light and then you look at somewhere else on the wall, you'll see that image appear. Like that light, that silhouette of that light will like start to appear, and then it'll disappear, and then it'll appear again, and it'll disappear. So I'm looking at this little candle, the flame's like that big, and I look up and I'm gazing out the window. It's nighttime, and I'm seeing that little flame of that candle appear, because that's just what happens in the psyche when you gaze at a light like that. And it starts to appear, and it appears as this, like, it's actually interesting because I usually don't get it like this. Like, it usually doesn't appear like this, but it was appearing as this like bluish greenish orb. So in my perception, and what Balam was telling me, is like, you are opening a portal for me to come into your life, and you're opening portals that you need to open to connect you to the streams of you could say consciousness and energy that are going to really benefit you on this path and lead you to, connecting further with your higher self. So he was literally like, I was picking up on, and all like in the real, what I'm thinking during this time is I know I'm opening some sort of gateway. I know I'm opening some sort of portal, and that's about it. So I'm opening this, like, I'm seeing the light expand, and then it starts to drop. Okay, expand, starts to drop. Expand, starts to drop, and it does it over and over again, and I keep doing it. I'm like, whoa, and I'm like kind of like following it, and then I get gnosis in my mind. Balam tells me, tell it to go up. So in my mind, I see that orb go like about to go down, and I start saying up, 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 up. So that one goes down, then another one forms, and it goes up. And I'm getting chills talking about this right now, literally. And that was the moment that I knew Balam was teaching me how to manifest. Okay? And it clicked for me. I was like, whoa, he literally just answered my question by a means that I didn't know was going to happen at all. So that was a really great experience that I had with Balam. And that is the types of experiences that you can have when you start to work with deities, when you start to work with these beings. So that was awesome. Let's see here. And then, okay, so then I started to realize, like, okay, now I really want to like connect with Balam even more, because remember, that was my first invocation. I was scared. Okay, I was scared as shit. My heart's pounding, but I'm a warrior by heart. I'm a warrior by nature, and I'm also I'm a wizard and a warlock by nature too. So no matter how scared I am, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm gonna do this shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, if this shit, like, I was at a point in my life where I knew I needed to do what I needed to do, and this was the next step for me. This was the next step that I needed in my life to get to my purpose, and I was willing to do that shit. My heart's pop, 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 pop. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, let's fucking do this shit. I don't, like, whatever the repercussions are, I'm fucking here, and I'm gonna handle this shit. And so then I started, picking up on the gnosis that I'm gonna work with Balam consistently. Okay, just like when you want to be successful with anything in life, you want to be consistent with it, because you need to understand the system on how how whatever it is that you're going into, how this craft works. And for me, it was witchcraft. you got to be consistent with it, because there is a system that you can operate on that brings you success in that craft. And then once you understand that system, excuse me, sorry, I ate Chipotle, guys. Then you gain abilities to create your own unique system. Okay? So I started sitting down and working with Balaam a little bit more. So I would say this is around the 4th time I would implicate him. And I would wake up at 6 in the morning, right before school, like an hour and a half before school, so that I could have some time to work with him. And you know, a lot of that plays into discipline too. Like, I'm waking up an hour and a half earlier than what I need to wake up for to go to a long day of school, where that school would be exhausting. But I was willing to do that because I knew how powerful this shit would be. So I was doing that. I was showing him my dedication. And before you know it, I start learning more information about Balaam, because once again, I'm working with him now directly. And now I've opened the gateways for him to influence me in my life, in my mind, in my consciousness, because as within, as without, he is separate, yet he is also a part of my own being, in my own energy field. I started to learn more about him, and one of the things that I figured out that I didn't know when I first started was that a big attribution of what kind of spirit he is a spirit that can make you invisible. Like, and this is a thing, and I'm gonna make a whole video on this. This is actually gonna be my next video, where I'm gonna talk about the true, like, I'm gonna talk about aspects of the occult that not many people know about. So when it comes to him being able to teach invisibility, there's 2 types of thoughts that just entered your mind right now. One of them is actually become invisible, like you can't see me anymore, like boom, I'm gone. And then the other aspect is, okay, invisible, you mean just like being able to move through life, yet people see you, but they're just not paying attention to you. Like, they're not aware of you. That's what invisible means. Now, this is what I'm gonna say in short about both of those, because it's not just one and it's not just the other. It's not just, oh yeah, I'm invisible to people's conscious awareness. That's the only way that you can become invisible. And then it's not, oh yeah, I'm only invisible in the sense that, like, you literally can't see me. I literally snap my fingers, I'm gone, like in the movies. Both of these are absolutely possible. Okay? Both of these are possible. So when Balaam can teach these things about invisibility, these are both aspects. These are really real things that you can learn how to do. Obviously, to be able to physically change your appearance through magic to actually make yourself completely invisible, that's some advanced level magic. That's deep practice. That's practice to the point where you are almost engaged full time in magic and know what you're doing. Okay, so that takes a massive level of experience, because you're actually changing your genetic codes to a level where you can, I want to say, I'm trying to find the right words here. I want to say flip your genetic codes to adapt to a different frequency, to a different current, a specific current, so quickly that your literal physical body appears to be invisible. Like you seem to be invisible. Okay? These are possible things. But once again, that's advanced fucking magic. Am I at that point yet where I can do that? I haven't, to my knowledge, I have not done that yet. Okay? I have not done that yet. And I'm gonna say that now. I have not physically actually made myself invisible, where as if you were watching me and then I just disappear. Now, have I made myself invisible to people's awareness? Like, literally, like, I could be really close to somebody and they would not, it was almost as if they couldn't see me? Absolutely. Because that, once again, that's still advanced, but that's, you can tap into that a lot more effectively, a lot more quickly, I should say. That is a level of psychology, that's a level of magic, that's a level of self-awareness and spiritual awareness that many people can get to if they take this path seriously. Okay? And there is a lot of people that practice magic. You may be watching this right now that are able to do that, and I have done that from personal experience. So I was working with Balaam, And I started to realize that he brings invisibility. Now I was trying to figure out, like, you know, is it this invisibility or this invisibility? And, you know, long story short, you know, I realized that, you know, both are possible, but for me to be able to just go like that and become invisible was unrealistic at the, you know, the point I was in my spiritual journey and on my path. But I remember Balaam made it clear to me that he wants to show me what his power is and how he can make me invisible. So I was totally open for it, and I was actively trying to find situations where I could become invisible. And I remember I was going to school, and a whole situation manifested where it gave me the opportunity, and it gave Balaam the opportunity to make me invisible. And once again, to become invisible through a spirit that offers invisibility, you are letting that spirit access your genes to be able to make you shift your energy, shift your atoms, shift your genetic structure to a point where it shuts the grid off to people that are not supposed to be aware of your energy. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a very energetic, genetic, frequency-based thing that is taking place here. Like, people that are attuning, like when you look at somebody and you're aware of them, you're not just aware of their physical body with your two eyes looking at their appearance. You're actually picking up on them from an energetic standpoint, and then your two eyes are seeing their physical body. So if I can work with a spirit that will literally take me off this person's grid work for spiritual, energetic awareness, then I will literally appear to be invisible to that person. That's why when people do hypnosis and they can literally cause someone to say, okay, when I snap my fingers, I'm going to be able to make myself invisible every time, you know, I snap my fingers. And then they'll tell the person to wake up. The person will wake up, and then the guy will be standing right in front of the person, and he'll be like, okay, I'm going to go invisible. He's going to be like, hey, how you doing? You know, how do you feel? You feel good? The person that was hypnotized is going to be like, yeah, I feel good. And then he's going to go, and then to that person that was just hypnotized, that guy is going to literally appear invisible. Like, you can look this up on YouTube. This is really what happens. And then that person will be standing there like, where'd he go? And then everyone else that wasn't hypnotized is going to see the guy standing right there, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? And then he'll snap his fingers again. He'll be standing in front of the person the whole time. And then the person that was hypnotized will look back and, whoa, where'd you come from? That's because it's that same structure that I'm telling you about. It's an energy thing. It's a spiritual science that is taking place here. That is literally why I'm so big into the occult, because this is some advanced science that is happening here. So there was a situation in my school. Long story short, I was in my classroom, and you know, it was a day where we weren't doing anything, and there was another 3 hours of class, and we were pretty much just fucking around, like trying to kill time. And I didn't want to be there for 3 hours, but it was personal training school, so in order to get credits for the class, you have to stay. Like, legally, you have to stay the whole time, but I didn't want to stay, and once again, I'm being influenced by Balaam to teach me how to become invisible. So I remember getting to the class. It was the schooling I went to was two halves. It was like a lecture and then a physical. So this was the physical half, and I had already worked out the whole entire week. The physical was, we would go to class the whole entire week, and we would work out. So I was already exhausted. There was really not much I could do at this point. And I was just thinking, like, I'm gonna go home. Like, I'm gonna see if I can use this ability and go home and not have anyone notice, because other people would leave the class. I've seen other people do it in my class, and they would always get caught. People by the teacher. Like, we had two different teachers, and the one teacher for the physical where people would leave. This was the second end of our class. They would always get caught. Like, they would leave, and then they would come back the next day, and they'd be like, okay, where'd you go yesterday? And then they would pretty much get caught. And even people would sometimes rat other people out. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, so everyone else gets caught, but once again, I'm having Balaam influence me. He's like, you can leave right now, and no one will know. And I literally grabbed my stuff, and I walked out. I was with everybody in the class, and then it was, the teacher was like, okay, let's do our physical. You guys can kind of just chill out, hang around, but just make sure you're here. And I just grabbed my stuff, and I casually just walked out. And it's not like we were all like in one place, like we were all in one place and it was really quiet and someone just got up and walked out. That would be very obvious. But we were all moving around, but everyone's in the same room, and I just grabbed my stuff and I walked out the back door. I walked to my car and I drove off. And then the next day I came back and no one caught me. Nobody knew. Not one person. There was actually one of my friends there, and he was a friend of mine. He had seen me leave, but he came up to I was actually talking to him about the occult, because this was around the time when, once again, I was starting to dabble in this, and he was one of my friends that I would connect with, and I was telling him about all these experiences, and he was the one that saw me leave. And then the next day, when he realized that no one caught me, and then I told him about, like, you know, I'm working with Balaam, and he's a, you know, Balaam's attributed to invisibility. My friend was like, that's so crazy. You know, like it was pretty cool. And that's when I knew that that's what Balaam had taught me, and this is a skill that I can use whenever I want. It's a tool that I can add to my tool belt, and I have used it before. There's been times where I've done rituals when I was living in Miami on the beach, and there would be people around me while I'm doing massive fucking rituals on the beach, and I would make myself invisible to them. And I swear to God, I have had people walk right by me and not even acknowledge my existence. Like, they wouldn't even know I was there. Like, literally, like, and I've been with friends and I've done it, and it works. I've used this many times in my life. So yeah, Balaam is the spirit. I'm gonna, you know, put a picture for him, and I'm gonna put his name, so you know, somewhere on this video, so you guys can see him and you guys can work with him if you want. But that's my experience with Balaam, and this is how he can make you invisible. Very powerful spirit, great spirit to start with if you want to do invocations, evocations, and things in that nature. So other than that, I'm gonna leave this video here, guys. This is my merch, okay? So the first link in the description, that's gonna take you to my Streamlabs merch, which is ran through YouTube. So this is a sigil of Hecate, and this is, you know, this is my merch, and I have the shirt with her sigil on it. Very powerful symbol. This symbol can literally cause certain situations to manifest in your day-to-day life. And if you go to the Streamlabs merch website and see my merch on there, you can literally place your order, and then it's going to ask you for your credit card information. Then you're going to put down your address to wherever you live, and they will ship it out, and it will be at your house from anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Okay, so this is my sigil merch. Definitely, if you wanna build a connection with Hecate, I'm gonna make a whole video on Hecate eventually here on my channel. She's a very powerful spirit, like insanely powerful. That's why I made my only sigil merch about her sigil. And there's also a lot more in this symbol than what people know. But if you want to show your loyalty, if you want to show your respect, if you want to strengthen that connection as well, you know, to your spirit guides, to your ancestors, to the spirits that, you know, work around you and in your life, all those things, then definitely go ahead and get a shirt with the sigil on it. And other than that, the link below my Streamlabs is going to be my Facebook community, where I put extra content out there, things in the nature of pictures with quotes. So definitely go check that out. And if you're a good fit, then I'll add you in the group. And then if you have any questions, up to 3 questions that you want to ask me, and then if you want me, I will respond on video message. Okay? Video message response to your question. All 3 of them broken down step by step as best as I can, I will send to you. That'll be $5 for 3 questions. And then all you have to do is Venmo me $5, and it also helps my channel out as well, because I know you guys have lots of questions and I want to be able to answer them, but I also want to be able to make money so that, you know, I can continue to upgrade my channel as well. So that's always an option as well. You just send me your number, send the money through Venmo, send me your number, and then ask me the questions from your phone number, and then I'll send you the video, or whatever platform I can use to send it to you. And then let's see here. And then guys, be ready for this. I have my Patreon coming soon. So just be ready for that. It's going to be exclusive content, very exclusive content, things in the nature of step-by-step instructions and videos of me showing you how to invocate a spirit, how to evocate a spirit, how to summon a spirit into your life, and step-by-step instructions, breakdowns on how to make a pact with a specific spirit, and what exactly you need to do, what exactly you need to have, and what exactly you need to expect when you do that stuff. So there's going to be videos in that nature, things that are a little more advanced, a little more exclusive, and that's all going to be on my Patreon. So this is coming soon. That's going to be a $9.99 subscription. So I'll let you guys know when that's out. So just be expecting it. But other than that, make sure you like and subscribe. If you like this video, hit the notification bell because I'm posting videos as often as I can. And other than that, I'm gonna see you guys on the next video. Peace.